Hiya! Welcome to LSB Feasters Radio Channel, where we keep great radio from the past alive. And today we're going to Orlando, Florida, which is actually my home base. I actually host a morning show right here at WPOZ Z88.3 in Orlando. And today we're going to feature Scott and Casey. Scott and Casey were a kind of popular weekend show on KFI Los Angeles. They did a lot of fill-in. They were there for many years at KFI. Sounded great, I thought. Some people actually said they sounded a little like KFI's afternoon show, John and Ken. Well, Scott and Casey finally had the opportunity to leave KFI and go do their own afternoon show in Orlando. And they were at 580 WDBO. Now, they were there for about a year or so. Management hired them knowing the type of show they were doing. But once they got there, it seemed like they were running into a lot of headwinds with management. And, it was probably a little over the top for WDBO, which is a very conservative talk station. And Scott and Casey, well, they're kind of out there. By the way, a big thank you to Casey Bartholomew, who provided this air check. Give them a listen. It's Scott and Casey on 580 WDBO Orlando.
WDBO, Central Florida's news, weather, and traffic station depend on it.
News Talk 580 WDBO. Thanks for tuning in to the Scott and Casey Show. He's Scott and I'm Casey. It's 5:10 on a Wednesday afternoon, and this is where we talk about the issues that you really care about on the lowest rated talk show in Central Florida.
And you've got the Scott and Casey Show every single weekday from 3 until 6 in the afternoon. As you head home from work, you make sure you're right here after the news at 6 for Inside Magic and Scott and Ez on WDBO.
In just a moment, we're going to continue taking your phone calls on the Florida State Supreme Court, trying to decide whether or not the electric chair, Old Sparky, is too cruel to be constitutional. It's been about 6 weeks since a foot-long flame burst out of the head of Pedro Medina. On March 25th, he was the man condemned to death for the killing of an Orlando school teacher. And they've heard oral arguments so far, and now they're going to decide whether or not it's unconstitutional to electrocute somebody. We'll talk to you about that, find out what you have to say. That's all going to be coming up right away.
You remember the Gina? Do you remember the girl named Gina Ocon?
Talked about her our first day on the air here.
Was that our first day?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Time flies, isn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Seems like only like a week and a half ago.
Gina Ocon, for those of you who don't remember, we talked about her last week. She is the woman who had dreams of becoming an ambassador. Remember that? She was a student at Harvard University, and during one summer break, she came out to California and met a guy that was just sort of a summer fling, got pregnant. The two of them had a kid. And when their little relationship ended, she wanted to take her kid and go back to college at Harvard, and he wanted to keep their daughter there with him.
She was going to be allowed to go off to Harvard, but the kid had to stay in California with him.
Right, and the kid would have been in like daycare 30 hours a week if she went to Harvard, and his parents were really, really wealthy and could have cared for the child. Anyway, the court ruled Gina Ocon can take her baby to Harvard with her.
Slut going to Harvard.
They basically said the father's objections mean absolutely nothing, and Tommaso Maggiore will have to just eat it.
Reduces us all to sperm donorship. That's all we are. Why do we need the woman there? Just give us a cup and we'll go.
This is what she said, too. I'm relieved, elated, and exhilarated, but I have some sympathy for Tommaso. The shock of not seeing Bailey around for him and his family is going to be hard on them. But I think Bailey, Tom, and I, we all won today. No, only you won today. The baby didn't win, and Tom didn't win. We kept saying about how all she seemed to care about was herself. Mm-hmm. Look at the photograph.
I saw her.
Did you?
Yeah.
Little snotty little. She looks snotty to me, and I just don't like her.
It's 5:13. This is the low-rated Scott and Casey Show on News Talk 580 WDBO. Back to your phone calls now about the Florida Supreme Court trying to decide whether or not the electric chair is too cruel to be constitutional. We told you about Pedro Medina on March 25th. He was electrocuted for murdering an Orlando school teacher, and a foot-long burst of flame shot from his head. And what they did was they gave two killers reprieves on their death sentences while their lawyers argued to the Supreme Court as to whether or not the electric chair was constitutional or not. Whether or not killing killers no matter what the method is unconstitutional. As if we should care the method we use for somebody who shows absolutely no regard for human life.
I do care about the method we use, though.
Well, you don't count.
No,
290-0058, 290-0058, toll free, 1-800-329-5858, 1-800-329-5858, or hit pound 580 on your AT&T wireless services phone, and that call is free.
The manner does matter, and the minute we start acting like it doesn't matter and the more torture the better is the minute we're no better than the murderer himself.
Yeah. John, you're on News Talk 580 WDBO with Scott and Casey. Go ahead.
I'm here to tell you that the manner doesn't really matter in the case of electrocution, because I was electrocuted when I was in the Navy in an accident, got 7,500 volts in the arm, went across my chest, and...
What'd you do that for? That was dumb.
Well, somebody flipped the switch while my arm was in a high-power transmitter.
Oh, I would have been mad.
And, well, I wouldn't have been anything except somebody revived me. But,
did they say, what does this do?
Hey, what's this button do?
I would not have felt a single thing if I hadn't been revived.
Oh, really?
It did hurt like hell when I was revived.
Should have sued the guy that revived you. Should have sued the guy that revived you.
No, the guy revived me wasn't the guy who flipped the switch.
Oh, okay.
You're actually proving the point then, because you're concurring with our previous caller who said the same thing. He got electrocuted and he didn't even feel anything.
Yeah, I got 7,500 volts, 6.5 amps, put a hole about 1.5 inches across to my arm.
Mm-hmm. That's just going to hurt is all that's going to do. John, thanks for calling Scott and Casey on WDBO. Let's talk to Teresa now. Teresa, you're on News Talk 580 WDBO with Scott and Casey. Go ahead. Hey.
Can't hear you. You'll have to talk louder. Is that us or is that her? Is she listening to the radio?
Let's put her back on hold, and we'll see if we can't get in touch with her. Talk to Randy now. Randy, you're on News Talk 580 WDBO with Scott and Casey. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good.
Listen, I got to tell you this, okay? We really ought to learn from countries like the Philippines. I want to tell you why. I used to be in the service over there about 20 years ago. Yeah, you know, I have absolutely no mercy on all these low-life slimes that go out and kill these women and children. And I'll tell you something else. I really feel if we had a public execution, and you might laugh at this, a public execution, okay, well, hold on a second, that, number one, we would see a decline, and it would really put a reality check into what's going on.
I disagree. I don't think that would happen at all. I don't think it would have any impact at all, because nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to them.
I don't think that many people would come out and watch a public execution, Randy. Now, pay-per-view, that's another story altogether.
All this does
Thanks
is...
for calling Scott and Casey on WDBO, Randy.
All this succeeds in doing is feeding our little disgusting need to watch stuff like that.
I would host a pay-per-view event. If they call and they need a host, put them right through.
I'm at least happy to know that you're not going to hide behind this false sense of, ooh, we're going to do something for the community.
Why would I do that?
I'm glad that you're being honest about it, because I hear so many people do that over and over again. Oh, no, it's not so much about me wanting to see it as much as it is about saving the community and acting as a deterrent. No, it's not going to act as a deterrent.
No, I think it is a deterrent, and I think it does help the community, but my enthusiasm is right along there, with wanting to see it. 290-0058, 290-0058, toll free, 1-800-329-5858. That's 1-800-329-5858 are the numbers, or just hit pound 580 on your AT&T wireless services phone, and that call is free.
And when we come back, I'd like to explore that. Why Casey wants to see it. Why? Why exactly? Think about that during the break. Pinpoint it down. Focus it down. Why you want to see it. Well, don't tell me yet. Tell me when we come back. It's the Scott and Casey program on News Talk 580 WDBO. Let's take a look at the traffic. Here's Rebecca Atkins. She's in Sky 1 with the WDBO 24-hour traffic network.
This traffic report is a service.
More of your phone calls in just a moment. Here's your WDBO exclusive AccuWeather forecast. Mostly clear skies tonight. The low will be around 64 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny skies, a little more humid. The high will be around 86 degrees. On Friday, partly sunny skies, breezy and humid. We got a 30% chance of afternoon thunderstorms. The high around 88 degrees. Right now, it's 86 degrees at News Talk 580 WDBO, Central Florida's news, weather, and traffic station. Depend on it.
Somebody was playing with the special effects machine again.
The hottest talk.
News Talk 580 WDBO. Thanks for tuning in to the Scott and Casey Show. He's Scott and I'm Casey. 5:23 on a Wednesday afternoon, and this is where we talk about the things you really care about on the lowest rated talk show in Central Florida.
I was afraid he was just stuttering. Scott and Casey with you until 6. After the news at 6, stay tuned for Inside Magic and Scott and Ez right here at WDBO.
Continue taking your phone calls now on the Florida State Supreme Court trying to decide whether or not the electric chair, is too cruel to be constitutional. 290-0058, 290-0058, toll free, 1-800-329-5858, 1-800-329-5858, or just hit pound 580 on your AT&T wireless services phone, and that call is free.
Just before we took the break, I asked you why. Why is it that you would want to watch an execution on pay-per-view?
Just to see it.
Just to see it.
Yeah.
No, there has to be a reason. The answer
that is the reason.
You can never answer a question with because. I mean, what will you gain from it?
Knowledge?
Knowledge?
Yeah.
You gain
what
knowledge?
It looks like to die?
Of what purpose would that serve you in your future endeavors, to learn what it looks like when somebody dies?
Make me a better, well-rounded talk show host.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Why don't you want to see it?
This is about the show, then, for you.
Yeah. Oh, this is all
purely
research.
about the research in the program.
Man, I'm just researching the program. How can I intelligently? Right now, I'm just babbling about this electric chair thing. I need to see it.
You need to see it. So it's not even that you want to see it; that you need to see it to be a better broadcaster.
Right.
You're insane. Who are you trying to fool, me or you?
Okay, fine. Now we know who on the Scott and Casey show does the show preparation.
Oh,
and
stop
who does
it.
Not, okay?
I do the preparation.
Who does the research here?
I have absolutely no desire to watch the life drain out of any human being, and I'm sorry if that makes me unprepared.
You're just unlearned now.
Oh, stop.
I know. In fact, I'm going to look for another Scott.
All right.
Paul, you're on News Talk 580 WDBO with Scott and Casey. Go ahead.
If you'd like to make a call...
Lost another one. Damn. Scott scared him away.
I scared him away.
Scott frightened him up real good. Let's talk to Mary. Mary, you're on News Talk 580 WDBO with Scott and Casey. Go ahead.
Hi. My comment was, I thought when you committed murder or a crime and you were sent to prison for life, you lost all your constitutional rights anyway.
No, you don't. You never lose all of your constitutional rights.
He's right, Mary. You do have the right to keep and bear arms if you're in prison.
You do have that. No. There are certain inalienable rights that even prisoners have, and I'm sick and tired of people mistaking that and always assuming that they have absolutely no rights when they go in prison, because that's not true.
Well, you have to also weigh against inhumane treatment that these people have given the other people when they do kill them.
Yeah, but you know what, though? The minute we start, and I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you for bringing that up, because we had promoted this earlier. The brother of one of the victims of one guy that has had a reprieve since this last execution, he said something very similar to what you said, and he said, think about this. How long did those women have to suffer that he murdered?
That's right. Well, instead of putting them in the electric chair, why don't we just cut off an arm or a leg or something, a piece at a time, and just let them suffer a little bit?
Mary, will you marry me?
I have a response to that, actually. Let me respond to that, because I've been wanting to do this all hour. The minute we start gauging our punishment of prisoners based on what they did to their victims is disgusting, and that makes us no better than they are.
No, that would give us a starting point.
Are you going to talk about research again?
Yeah, well, that would be research. Sure,
No,
research and development.
No. Thank you very much for the call, Mary. It's just that you guys are wrong, though. We can't start saying, "Oh, well, you know,
you're not wrong."
No, I know I'm not wrong. The minute we start saying, "Ooh, let's see," okay, well, let's see. This Hartsock guy, he beat that model guy to death with a lead pipe.
Right.
Therefore, we're going to execute him the same way. That's disgusting. How is it that you can rationalize this in your brain and say, "Oh yeah, that sounds fair"? No. We are a civilized society. We don't act the way James Hartsock does. So why on earth would we start doing that?
Well,
if we condemn him for doing that, why would we start doing that?
I'm willing to accept the methods that we have, but I mean, I'm just saying that I wouldn't be against it if they said, "Okay, lead pipe. Let's do it."
I'm sorry, are you talking?
I stunned you into silence again.
I'm ignoring you.
Argue with that.
I'm ignoring you.
You ignore the truth.
We're better than that.
Right up on him.
Americans are better than that. Our society is civilized. We don't do things like that.
290-0058.
Blah, blah, blah.
290-0058. Toll free, 1-800-329-5858. 1-800-329-5858. Or just hit pound 580 on your AT&T wireless services phone, and that call is free. The Florida State Supreme Court trying to decide now whether or not the electric chair is too cruel to be constitutional. We'll take your phone calls coming up next.
You people make me sick. This is News Talk 580 WDBO. Here's Rebecca Atkins in Sky 1 with the WDBO 24-hour traffic network.
News Talk 580 WDBO. Thanks for tuning in to the Scott and Casey Show. He's Scott and I'm Casey. It's 5:41 on a Wednesday afternoon, and this is where we talk about the issues you really care about on the lowest rated talk show in Central Florida.
It is the Scott and Casey Show with you weekdays from 3 to 6 in the afternoon as you head home from work. Tonight after the news at 6, make sure you stay tuned for Inside Magic and Scott and Ez right here at WDBO.
It's been about 6 weeks since a foot-long flame burst out of the head of Pedro Medina. He was the man who was condemned to death because of the murder of an Orlando school teacher. And that brought back to the forefront the debate about whether or not the electric chair, the 73-year-old electric chair in Florida, is a good way to put people to death, to carry out the death sentence. It caused a Jacksonville judge to look into it, and he ruled that, yeah, it's okay. The electric chair is okay. We can go ahead and still use that. But now the state Supreme Court is looking into it, and they're trying to decide whether or not the chair is too cruel to be constitutional.
And I don't see how that is possible, considering the fact that before flames burst out of Pedro Medina's head, he was already dead.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe you might think it's sick about setting a corpse on fire, but if he's already dead, he's already dead. He's an unperson. More so than he was when he was alive.
He's a virtual shell.
He was an unperson. He was just a slimy killer, and there's no reason why we shouldn't use whatever means we have in this state to put them to death. 290-0058. 290-0058. Toll free 1-800-329-5858. 1-800-329-5858. The numbers, or just hit pound 580 on your AT&T wireless services phone, and that call is free. Let's talk to Carol now. Carol, you're on News Talk 580 WDBO. With Scott and Casey. Go ahead.
Several years ago, I read an excellent article that the original intent of capital punishment was not to be a deterrent, but the original intent of the law was to be fulfilled for a free society, an eye for an eye. If you killed, you died. If you stole, you worked for that person until you paid every cent back.
Actually, that's not true. The original intent was to entertain Roman emperors.
Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, that's kind of believable. Thanks for the call, Carol.
Than's for calling Scott and Casey on WDBO.
She makes a good point. I don't believe, the only person that will be deterred by the death penalty is the one who's dead, okay? He's not going to be committing any more crimes, I'm pretty sure.
I guess we've solved that problem,
but it's sort of the same mentality when you get a 15-year-old who's driving recklessly or whatever. They have this invincible attitude. It's not going to happen to them. I think the same thing goes for these killers. I mean, they're going to go out and kill. They're not going to say, ooh, wait a minute. Maybe I shouldn't bash this guy's brains in with a lead pipe because I might die.
It shouldn't be brought up as a deterrent, and people shouldn't be talking about it as a deterrent. It's punishment. You broke the law. You are now to be punished. I don't know where everybody, a side benefit may be that it becomes a deterrent at some point, but at this point, it's punishment for the crimes that you've already committed, and we'll deal with the other people who break the laws as soon as they come along. Let's talk to Linda now. Linda, you're on News Talk 580 WDBO with Scott and Casey. Go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, guys. My concern is for the victims. No one seems to be concerned with how they suffer.
Well, they're dead, so.
Well, they had to die.
Yeah.
And they had no assistance in dying.
Yeah, but you wouldn't dare say that these killers should die the way they forced their victims to die.
I would too.
Yeah, but what does that make you, though? I mean,
that's not me. They did it.
No. You're the one saying that we should kill them the way they killed their victims. How does that make you?
That makes society. I am not the one paid to kill them.
That makes society go haywire the minute we start killing people.
Society is already haywire. We wouldn't be in the shape we're in now.
No, explain to me. If we decided tomorrow, I brought this up earlier, if we decided tomorrow that we were going to bash James Hartsock's brains in the way he did that same guy out at the pool, what does that make us? The minute we start killing people the same way that he did
we're not killing people.
When we condemned him for doing it.
We are not killing people. The person that we pay to kill the person is the one. That's his job,
so
and he's only performing his job.
Hey, everybody's got a job to do, Everybody's got to work for them.
Exactly.
I'm not talking about
some people go to college, others have to commit murder. I mean, it happens, okay?
Linda,
Who are you to judge, Mr. Elitist talk show host? Huh?
Linda, I'm not talking about the actual guy who was forced to commit the execution. I'm talking about us who make the laws and decide now.
We are the ones that make society, and we are the ones that put those judges in there that's going to decide, and that's the face of our society.
You're missing my whole point. My whole point is that the minute we start killing murderers the way they killed their victims, make us exactly the way those murderers are. And how on earth can we condemn them for killing that way if we're doing it?
They did it first.
Well, yeah. So,
they started it.
So, yeah.
Linda, thanks for calling Scott and Casey on WDBO. The Florida State Supreme Court is deciding whether or not the electric chair is too cruel and unconstitutional to be used when carrying out the death sentence.
That was in the court docket, by the way. Yeah. On page 4 of the deposition.
And then he flipped him the bird. 290-0058, 290-0058, toll free, 1-800-329-5858, 1-800-329-5858 are the numbers, or just hit pound 580 on your AT&T wireless services phone, and that call is free.
And when we come back, we're going to talk to Steve, and we're going to talk to Ralph, and we're going to take your phone calls as well, right here on the Scott and Casey program on News Talk 580 WDBO. Here's Rebecca Atkins. She's in Sky 1 for the WDBO 24-hour traffic network. Your WDBO exclusive AccuWeather forecast calls for mostly clear skies tonight, the low around 64 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny skies, a little more humid than today. The high will be around 86. And on Friday, partly sunny skies, breezy and humid with a 30% chance of afternoon thunderstorms, the high around 88. Right now, it's 85 degrees at News Talk 580 WDBO. Central Florida's news, weather, and traffic station depend on it.
News Talk 580 WDBO. Thanks for tuning in to the Scott and Casey Show. He's Scott and I am Casey. 5:52 on a Wednesday afternoon. If you tuned in at 5 o'clock, you've been listening for 52 minutes now. And this is where we talk about the issues that you really care about on the lowest rated talk show in Central Florida.
Scott and Casey with you every single weekday from 3 to 6 in the afternoon as you head home from work. A few more minutes of the Scott and Casey Show. Then you must stay tuned for Inside Magic with Scott and Ez right here at WDBO.
Or we will destroy you. Final round of calls now on the Florida State Supreme Court trying to decide whether or not the electric chair is too cruel to be constitutional. 290-0058, 290-0058, toll free, 1-800-329-5858, 1-800-329-5858 are the numbers, or just hit pound 580 on your AT&T wireless services phone, and that call is free. Let's talk to Steve now. Steve, you're on News Talk 580 WDBO with Scott and Casey. Go ahead.
Hi there.
Hi.
This is real simple. Why don't you just give them some drugs, knock them out, then fry their brain?
Knock them out and then fry the brain. Well, why don't we just give them a lethal dose of the drugs like they do in California? Forget the frying. Just shoot them up with drugs and let them fade away.
You know what, Steve? Scott just takes all the fun out of execution.
That's my whole point right there. I don't think I need to say a single word.
Execution should be should take place at like Caesar's Palace in Vegas or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you change the way they kill them, then there's a bunch of cases.
There's a bunch of what? I can't.
Court cases.
Oh.
Court case. All right, Steve. Thanks for calling Scott and Casey on WDBO.
Caesar's Palace. You know what they get? That great, big, huge, giant slot machine where you have to use both hands to pull the thing.
There you go.
And the guy sits up on top of it in the electric chair, and every time he waits to see if they get 3 sevens in a row. That's when he fries, but he has to wait and see each time. It could take years before anybody actually hits it, but every couple of minutes he'll be on the edge of his seat waiting to see if he. Why am I helping you? Why am I doing this? I'm not helping you.
See, it's in you.
It's in me. I'm just keeping it pushed down.
Let's go to Ralph on line 5. Ralph, you're on News Talk 580 WDBO with Scott and Casey. Go ahead.
Hey, I just was wondering, if they're deciding whether it's cruel and unusual punishment, maybe what the state attorney who's wanting to have the electric chair ought to call in witnesses who have been struck by lightning and testify what it was like to get hit by a big charge of electricity. Watching these TV programs that they've had where people have done that, most of them don't complain that they were any great pain or anything at the time they got the charge.
Why don't we just jiggle the switch on the electric chair and just ask the prisoner, that hurt?
That hurt? Just give him a little bit. Just a little bit at first.
Just like jiggle a little. Ralph, thanks for calling Scott and Casey on WDBO.
I find it hard to believe it doesn't hurt because, you realize you get fried from the inside out. Your blood boils.
It's
get,
like a microwave.
Your body burns from the inside out, and I'm supposed to believe people aren't complaining. Oh, no complaints here. No big deal.
No, that was okay. Go ahead. Let's talk to Mark. Mark, you're on News Talk 580 WDBO with Scott and Casey. Go ahead.
Hello. Hey, I actually thought that this was kind of a serious subject at first, but I'm kind of laughing and rolling with you guys now. But the lady,
it's a serious subject. There's just a little humor injected.
Okay, well, the lady that called a couple of minutes ago was talking about just beating the guy's brains in like he did to his victim.
Yeah.
And then you used an argument that that what does that say about our society? Well, what does it say about our society that we kill people that kill anyway? It just says that killing's all right.
I feel that killing, or I'll use the word execution because I like it better than killing.
Me too.
Execution is what I would consider to be a necessary evil. I would not consider it to be something we take pleasure in or find different ways to make it creative or torturous. And that's the difference to me. When you find ways to please yourself by executing someone, then it's not about the execution anymore. It's more about how you get this feeling of elation when you kill.
Mark, thanks for calling Scott and Casey on WDBO. You know, you are completely against people trying to make their jobs interesting.
Yeah.
You're just wanting to allow people to become stagnant in their work, and then they become bored, and then what happens?
Then they become lazy.
Workers' compensation rates go up, suicides go up. I mean, God, I'm just trying to keep people alive
They stop showing up for work now. The guy's strapped in, and where's the executioner? We have a black hood here and nobody inside of it. What's going on here? He's watching daytime TV.
We better call Casey.
Call Casey. It's never boring for Casey.
Call the standby guy.
Yeah, I've proven my point.
Point? You have no point. All right.
Sure.
Thanks, everybody, for calling in tonight. Thanks to Fred for running the board and producing, Woody for screening your phone calls, all of you for listening and calling in. Scott and Casey Show will be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock with extended hours.
Yes.
We're going till 7 o'clock.
3 to 7 now, the Scott and Casey Show.
Because the Magic are done, and there's no reason to play basketball games because they won't mean anything at all.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow. This is the Scott and Casey Show on News Talk 580 WDBO. Here's Rebecca Atkins. She's in Sky 1 with the WDBO 24-hour traffic network.